Hi Aries, welcome to your mid-August 2021 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. So I'm trying to do, there were a couple of videos that I did that were about the Lionsgate portal in particular, and I ended up not making the rest of those because of other things that were going on. So I'm going to focus on the other signs that I haven't done. Well, maybe I'll do everybody because some people might wonder why their video isn't here, but I thought I would do you first. Um, so let's see what is happening. And this is for that period that goes to the middle of the month. And so the new moon in Leo is on the 8th, and that is actually falling during the Lionsgate portal, which is, I'm not going to get into that, but it's just very auspicious, let's put it that way. So that's like very powerful. So that is in your area of love and creativity, the 5th house. And so that's really great. Okay. The heart of the matter. This can be a dilemma that you have. It can be just a focus that you're having. The Hangman is a card that can indicate that there's something in your life that feels like either loose ends, like you're being jerked around, like there's something that can't progress. An example would be if you're waiting for someone to get divorced and you refuse to continue to see them until they get divorced, or waiting to hear back from a job that you have applied for, and every time you call they say that they're still like deliberating, and you feel like you're kind of in no man's land. And especially for an Aries person, this can feel quite excruciating because you're so action oriented. So it's really about you being able to have patience and also have faith that things are going to work out in your favor. In the past position, we have the 8 of Cups, and this can be a situation where you have walked away from something. And so that's why I was saying, like with a job, if you walked away from something that wasn't satisfactory, and you did so because you were feeling like your heart wasn't in it, you may have just been reacting and walking away, but you didn't really have anywhere to walk towards. And so you might feel like you're in this state of a void where there's nowhere really for you to go, but there was something that you were leaving due to that empty feeling inside, or a relationship, but you feel like, okay, now what? But I actually feel like there was something that you thought you were going towards, and maybe there's some kind of a hiccup where you left a job with the promise of a new job, and now the new job is saying, oh, hold it, we're not ready for you yet, or something like that. And you're like, wait a second, I just did all of that, and now you're telling me this. And that was why I gave the example of, like, maybe you left a marriage and the other person was supposed to leave their marriage too, and then it's like all of a sudden they're like, oh no, by the way, I'm still like in this situation, and I'm give me, for 6 more months or something like that. And you're just wanting to get into this new situation, and you can't. The higher message is the Queen of Swords, and this is Sometimes this can be like your emotions that you have to steel yourself, you have to balance yourself. Maybe um, you have been feeling a bit irrational about some of the things that are going on in your life. You're feeling emotional and like you want something to pop, if you will, and yet it's a little bit too um, intense. Like, for instance, with a relationship, you may be infatuated with somebody, and that's why you want to just spend the rest of your life with them and everything. But maybe you need restraint. Um, the Queen of Swords to me is also having a decision that has to be made. Now, this is on the spiritual level. This isn't about deciding what you want on the material level, but on the spiritual level. Have you walked away from something because it was just getting predictable and maybe it wasn't bad, but it was just like you're always looking for novelty, something new, something, you know, exciting, and you can't tolerate just the everyday mundane reality? Is that what's happening? Because sometimes in those situations, the person is when they uh, when they do something like that. This I'm talking about Aries particularly. They can just keep doing that over and over again because it's not fresh anymore. It's not. It doesn't feel exciting, but it's not the relationship's fault. It's because you are kind of seeking a sensation rather than, looking at the familiar as something comforting. You're seeing it as something that is um, distasteful, you know. And that can also sometimes be with a job. But, I do believe that sometimes when people are not interested in something, there's, that could be a catalyst for change, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying you should just tolerate something just because it's familiar, but sometimes people take that to the extreme and they just throw in the towel every time that they get bored. But it's like a kid on Christmas Day, 1 hour later, when all the toys are opened up from the box, that they lose interest. What crosses you is the King of Swords, and this can be a boss or a father figure who's never satisfied with you, and you have taken that judgment and internalized it. So, and even an aspect of yourself that is maybe overly critical, not accepting, cold. If you're an Aries person, you tend to be warm, but if you have the moon in like Capricorn or Aquarius, um, you might be like this, and there's part of it is the way that somebody's wired, but some of it can even be, who knows, it can even be a karmic situation where that's something that you struggle with. um, Accepting others, being, or even, I was going to say the moon in Virgo, that's what I have, but some people are, with Venus in Virgo, moon in Virgo, they tend to be very, like overly critical, but they're doing it because they don't want to really get close to somebody, and it's their way of having an excuse because they can just pick out some quality that somebody has and they can act like that's beyond the pale. This can be a dangerous person, actually. This person can be very dangerous. And this is why, if this is somebody that you have gotten involved with, that you may feel this sense of oppression from this person. So I was looking at it in terms of somebody that you're going towards, but maybe this is somebody that you've been getting away from. This could be a narcissist, and this person might be quite cruel and and exhibiting bullying behavior. Don't allow anyone to gaslight you convince you that you are the cause of all that person's problems. This person may have some kind of power. So if this is, for instance, a boss, they might be quite vindictive and they have the power to badmouth you in the industry. And when I see the hangman, it might be that somebody's giving you the runaround, because if this is like a new job, they're giving you the runaround because they can't tell you the real reason that they're not giving you the job is because of this other person. So if this person is your former boss and they were like, how dare you leave? Because, you may have already dealt with their negativity and you were just leaving because you deserve better. And that person can't handle it that you left. They can't handle that type of they perceive it as rejection, and yet they're the one that started it, really. And then they punish you for what they did, in other words. So realize that, because the thing with the hangman is, and this might be somebody that promised you that they would get divorced, and they had no intention of doing it. So they, in those types of scenarios that I was just talking about, a lot of times you will not even know that they were married because they never divulged that. You might have found out in your own way after the fact and confronted the person, and maybe they weren't even very apologetic. They were just like, yeah, well, yeah, I am going to get divorced. And so you thought that if you left your partner that they would leave theirs, and they had no intention of doing that. So now you feel like you're hung out to dry. That's what I say about the hangman, that you feel like you're just kind of swinging in the breeze, that you don't have, twisting in the wind, maybe is a better saying, and that you don't have any control over that. Well, you do have control. You can just, ease that person out of your life. And speaking of which, what's coming in is a death card. This is a necessary ending to a situation that may be connected to the hangman. So you may have to put either, obviously that could happen outside of you, but you might initiate it yourself, where you just say, I can't do this. I can't be in this no man's land anymore. I have to, cut it off. And you do so with the realization that it's already a done deal, that person had no intention of doing the right thing, because they're coming from a position of deceit anyway. They're not an honest broker. So good riddance to bad rubbish, basically. Okay. And the outcome is the Page of Wands, and this is a very positive thing. This is receiving news, maybe in the 11th hour, that makes everything that you've been through worthwhile. The Queen of Swords can sometimes indicate that a person has been going through something, and they have to kind of, deal with it. But the Page of Wands is like a fresh new start. Wands relate to fire signs like Aries. So it can be like welcome news, new beginnings that make you feel like you're alive, that you're loving life again. So all's well that ends well. I hope that you enjoyed this, Aries. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.